Everybody, welcome back to Holy Moley Studios. I'm here with Holy Moley Van. I am Holy Moley Davis, and we are going to talk about Spider-Man Brand New Day. We were both able to see it opening day. By the time this comes out, hopefully everyone who is super excited, at least, and wants to see it opening weekend will have had the chance. We're going to give our thoughts. We're going to kind of talk about what we liked, what we thought worked well, but maybe we thought didn't work as well. Fair warning in advance, this will be a very spoiler-filled discussion. So if you haven't seen the movie and you're concerned about spoilers, there's a lot we'll talk about that is worth not having spoilers for you. So
yes, it's totally worth going in, not even blind, because I obviously saw the trailers and stuff, but I think it's good to go in and have your own opinion and feelings towards the movie, and then come back, and this will be more like a talking with your friends, kind of post theater discussion.
All right, well, let's hop in. What are your thoughts on the movie? How'd you like it?
I genuinely loved it. I thought it was really fun. It was full of heart. I think on paper it is probably the best Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though my thing is I have such a strong affinity for Homecoming that I think that will always be my favorite, but not at the detriment of me disliking this one more, if that makes sense, or even liking that one more. I think for me, Homecoming is just one of my favorite MCU movies. I think it's really well done, and I think this is a great companion piece to what was started there and seeing the transformation of the character over these years.
Yeah, I agree. I really loved it. I left the theater, obviously enjoyed it, and I think over the course of the 24 some odd hours since then, I think it's grown on me even a little bit more after thinking about it. I feel like sometimes that's the case with movies or like with certain like albums. Sometimes you listen to them and you're like, yeah, that was good, and then it's kind of like simmers a little bit and you're like, actually I really liked that. That's how this one was for me. Yeah, I agree. I think this is probably the best of the Holland Spider-Mans. I really enjoy the first three too. To me, the way it feels almost is like the first three were kind of a prequel trilogy, and now he's like Spider-Man as people know Spider-Man. It's the most. This is by far the most like Spider-Man he's ever been.
Yeah, which I loved about it, and like kind of to broadly paint my thoughts, my obligatory Letterboxd review that I ended up writing, it was essentially like, I'm glad that we remembered we can make fun, thoughtful comic book movies and not have it feel like a dinner special playing at like a theme park. You know what I mean? Like on some crazy expensive Disney cruise where you can go and have Ant-Man and the Wasp like shrink your milkshake and then pops out. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And it's no secret that people have felt like a lack of quality lately with some of the, not just Marvel, but I mean, other than Superman, for me, I think that was like the other big, like, hey, this is a fun, thoughtful comic book movie that isn't afraid to be a comic book movie. And I feel like this is the MCU's closest approximation of also doing that. Well, and a comic book movie,
yeah, and it doesn't shy away from the kind of warm fuzzy bits either. Like sometimes it's a little too schmoozy, but you haven't earned it. But this one definitely, like all those moments that are more sentimental, definitely landed for me. Like in particular, kind of the climax of the movie. Again, big spoilers, but kind of the climax of the movie when Sadie Sink's character, who is revealed to be Jean Grey, which we'll talk more about that, I think, in a second, but is in Spider-Man pretty much lets her into his mind, and like Aunt May is kind of the one to like talk her off the ledge, it's kind of reliving a memory that he's had with her. That was like such a like, wow, like what a cool way to incorporate her character still, and what it just like was a really successful way to kind of wrap up that arc for her. I think like it was great. Her telling her exactly kind of what she needed to hear, because it was also what Peter needed to hear at that point,
Especially because at this point, with that character, she has yet to have an established proper mentor figure like she would later come to have in Xavier. That, yeah, I do think that was like a really impactful moment of Spider-Man showcasing that, like, not only does he have empathy, but he's being very vulnerable, literally vulnerable, of here's a person that he has been pushing out of his head the entire movie. And then the crux of how they resolve their conflict is letting her in, because she needs to see that, you know, what May represents for Spider-Man. She needs to see that for herself, because she does, the one person that she did have in her life that might have supported her is gone.
Well, and I think that her character and Peter had really good chemistry, and like not in a romantic way at all, but just like they related to each other through the struggle of like, hey, I'm going through something really confusing and I don't know how to deal with this, and I've lost people because of this, and you know, like that was the ultimate, like, hey, I know what you're going through. And like it felt near the end, especially when she's like keeping him alive, essentially, like they feel like really good friends at the end, even though there's really not that much time spent where that relationship feels established, but like it worked, you know. I thought they had a really good like connection in that regard, you know. Felt like
Where
two
it didn't
young people
feel-
like who were just like, hey, I get it, you know.
Yeah, and it didn't feel too unearned, or it didn't feel like fast tracked of like, did this happen too fast? Yeah, no, I think that's a really great moment, and I think they really stick the landing with that because of everything that they established throughout the whole course of the movie. I think, at least for my, and this might be a recency bias thing, but I think this is like one of the best shot Spider-Man movies.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's the most tight in terms of like, I feel like almost every scene needed to be there. And the movie's already, I mean, the movie's 2.5 hours long. But at least from my recollection, I didn't feel it sluggish in any aspect necessarily. Like,
no, but it at the same time, like, kind of knew when to let itself breathe a little.
Yeah.
So
it knew how to be quiet and it knew how to be loud. I was just glad. So after seeing the movie, of course, I like watching some of the like Easter eggs you might have missed, those kind of videos. And it was just funny because seeing clips from, you know, No Way Home and Far From Home, I'm just like, wow, this movie just looks so, I don't know,
just better.
Like,
yeah.
It just looks better. And maybe there's more of a muted color palette, which I think does work. Like, I don't think it makes it look ugly, because some of the bright colors of those MC movies feel really like video gamey.
Well, and those ones felt almost washed out. Like, they're not, I don't think they suffer from the same issue that like, say like Civil War kind of does, where it's just a little too gray, you know, a little too muted, but it still feels a little washed out. And this one like felt really like visually really like rich and deep. Like the colors were mostly like pretty warm, and like the suit, like the colors on a suit especially, I was like, that those are like really nice, yeah, like deep colors. It just looked great. And like specific shots that come to mind are like near the end when Peter's like up in like on like a steel beam or something, and you can see the city. That like I remember being like, wow, that looks great, you know. Yeah. But also just like a lot of the shots of the city and of him like swinging through, especially in the beginning, I was like, this is some of the best like web swinging we've gotten in a Spider-Man movie, I think, ever. Like for as rough of a movie as it is, Amazing Spider-Man 2 had a lot of great stuff like that. And I don't know if you've watched it, but Corridor Crew did a video where they like rank those. It's like they rank Spider-Man swinging around.
Nice. That's
that we've
cool.
seen. And like, so I like all those are kind of fresh in my mind because I've seen stuff from each movie within a few weeks ago. And like, I was like, yeah, this looks incredible. It's so good.
Well, I mean, you can tell like there was no shyness of behind the scenes stuff. Them talking about how like the suit is more tactile because it's like not a green screen suit type of thing. Or, like, obviously he's always done kind of stunts, but I don't know. It just feels more like tangible. It feels more real. Obviously, like, we know it's not real. We know that there isn't a Spider-Man and a Hulk and a Punisher and like crazy ninjas and telepaths and stuff, but like there's just something about it that really grounds it, but not in a way that is trying to be real life.
Yeah, I think it was the perfect mixture of incorporating like a really tactile, real suit. You can see it like crease and fold, and there's certain parts that are looser.
His ears were showing. Like
you can see the outline of his face. You can see through his eyes sometimes, which I thought was really cool. And we haven't seen that in a Spider-Man movie. But a good balance still with like he still has like the web shooters. He still has his heads-up display and the whatever suit AI. So it didn't feel like it was completely rejecting like the previous version. It was like it was just a really good like evolution of his suit through those movies to where his character's at now.
Yeah, it felt like it was building upon, because sometimes like when you get too far in a franchise, it feels like people already feel like they have to reset or reestablish or go back to basics or whatever. This felt very structurally solid because it was built on the things that we do care about from those movies, and not in a like, oh, it ignores the stuff that we don't care about, but it just doesn't bring that to the forefront as much as maybe some of those other movies have.
Well, and this is the first one of the Holland movies where it really feels like Spider-Man is on his own. He's the main character, and like he has help, especially with the Punisher, which we can talk about him a little bit more in a minute too. But the Punisher as mentor figure for him, I think, was employed like the right amount. Like it didn't feel overshadowy like the way that like maybe Doctor Strange kind of could, or Iron Man did in the other ones, where he's kind of sharing like top billing with those guys. Like this one, it's definitely Spider-Man is the main character of this movie, and the other characters that get incorporated in aren't playing as big of a role, I guess. I don't know, but
yeah, it really does feel like he's his main character for the first time, even though he has been the titular character in all those movies. Like Iron Man cast such a big shadow on that first one. And two, of course, like the villain, all the villains throughout have always played like a really big present role. And the villain of this movie is way more subtle for at least like the first half. Like in a Far From Home, like, as much, I love the character of Mysterio, and he's such a big part of that, but you're also still in the shadow of Tony Stark because it's post Endgame. So like those have to act as like weird bookends. And then a thing I found myself enjoying was like, so the joy of No Way Home was being like, oh, we're gonna potentially get, rumor has it we're gonna get all the Spider-Man together, which is a kind of an exciting concept. But then I felt like I spent that whole movie like waiting for the thing that I was hoping for to happen, and not allowing myself to get as invested in the like moment to moment. I felt like with this movie, as far as I knew, and not that I read spoilers or anything, but as far as I knew what to kind of expect in terms of like appearances of characters and stuff like that, where I really felt like I could just enjoy watching it for the story and not waiting for the like bombastic and classic MCU, I'm going to watch this kind of C+ movie so that I can get an A+ cameo. Like it felt very much.
Yeah, and I think to its credit, by doing that, it established itself as probably the most rewatchable of the Tom Holland Spider-Mans. Like I could go watch this again and tomorrow and have just as much fun, And I think over the years, this is probably the one I'll revisit the most. Just for that reason, like if it asks you to like care about the characters in the movie, not just be like, oh look, And there are a couple moments that are like that. But we kind of knew they were coming, like with the Hulk or, with Punisher and stuff. It wasn't like, oh, who's going to pop up in this? I think the big central question around this movie was, who is Sadie Sink's character? And I think anybody with a passing knowledge of just Marvel in general and who watched the trailer was like, that's Jean Grey, of course. Like you cast famous redhead actress to play a telepath,
Yeah. Like it's all there it's not only there in the trailers, but it's there in the behind the scenes. It's sort of like, okay, they casted a redheaded actress, presumably has telepathic powers, their color scheme involves yellow and green.
Yeah.
2 colors are associated with Jean Grey via Phoenix Force.
Right.
And then also they separated that actress from the others during press. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm glad that they didn't treat it like an open secret. Like they were all sort of like, they were still kind of coy about it, but it wasn't like Toby and Andrew are definitely not in this movie.
Yeah.
Footage where it looks like somebody gets kicked in the face by someone that's not there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and there are even, I think in the trailer there were a couple shots where like the framing looked like, oh, there's missing characters here. Like specifically when he's going up against the hand in that opening montage, there's a lot of space on his side. So I think people were speculating about that. But again, I'm glad they didn't do that. I think that's a really cheap, dumb marketing ploy, like to lie in your trailer, essentially. You know, like I think that sucks. But
because then you're going to be spending, and like I know that that's a thing that they do is they put different footage. I mean, if you go back and watch like the Rogue One trailer, none of that is in the movie. Partially because it got cut out. And, and turned
all the reshoots and stuff. But I mean, like Infinity War had a lot of shots that were like, this isn't what we saw. And I guess like, I don't know. I remember Ragnarok has a shot of Thor jumping onto the bridge, and then in the actual movie, it's a very similar shot, but he's missing his eye. So it's like, okay, sure.
Like that's obviously like we know they didn't want to spoil that, even though it's like not a thing because he gets it fixed immediately.
Yeah.
In a way that's very much like, oh,
just kidding.
Chris Hemsworth didn't want to wear an eye patch.
Yeah.
Even though like they were setting them up to be like the new Odin, and then they just
yeah, which I mean it would have looked cool, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't an effective thing. For I was like, I do want to find out who her character is. I don't want that spoiled for me, you know.
Yeah. Well, it was, even though I suspected it was to be that character, it made me curious because I wanted to see how they incorporated Jean Grey into the MCU, especially because I love the X-Men. They're, I think, like beyond Spider-Man, they're some of my favorite parts of the Marvel universe. And then also just because I'm not as well versed in the Marvel comics. Like I haven't gone as deep into some of the sort of classics and the deep dives and whatnot. But I was under the impression that there was never really a full relationship, like not romantic, but a connection between Jean Grey and Spider-Man. And so I was curious to see how they did that. And I mean, like you said earlier, they have really great chemistry, really good back and forth. So,
yeah, and I'm curious if we'll ever see them kind of share the screen in the same way again, because this opens up a lot of possibility for the X-Men. And I think that the X-Men will hopefully be kind of the new life the MCU needs for whatever version of that ends up being. Again, like we know the classic X-Men characters are popping up in Doomsday, which I'm cautiously optimistic about that because it'd be fun to see those characters again. But I would be lying if I was like fully on board for it, you know?
Well, I'm going to tell you what I had to sadly tell my girlfriend after we walked out of Spider-Man is they are bringing them back so they could blow them up and kill them off and then introduce new ones.
Yeah.
Like that's what they're going to do.
Yeah. And I mean, I think have even like in their releases for it have even said it as much as like it's different universes are colliding, which is very like Secret Wars, which I know is what's coming after Doomsday. But still, I don't know. I'm obviously still going to go see that one, but like I'm apprehensive about it, which I wasn't for this one because I knew like street level Spider-Man. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And like introducing Jean Grey into it was the right move, I think, to introduce kind of X-Men into this because we start seeing like, you know, the word mutant thrown around or mutation thrown around, which speaking of like interesting choice to have Peter kind of invent the like collars essentially that like the oh my gosh, what are they called? The Sentinels like use that technology. I'm sure that will probably come back to bite him in the ass at some point, but
yeah.
A
very classic of a character who has done like 99 good things, but one bad. He's done more than one bad thing. But this example has done one bad thing, and now it's going to be like, we have to hate you now because that one bad thing is obviously really bad.
Yeah, so he'll probably pay for that, I'm sure, at some point. Back to Jean Grey a little, though. I think that it was an interesting choice still, even if it was kind of an obvious like reveal. I'm glad they didn't do the whole like Andrew Garfield like pause and let the audience clap when they revealed her. It was like, and it's Jean Grey. Like they just say it and it's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But she is kind of she does some pretty like evil stuff in this, like at first. Like which granted, she's obviously not a very goody two shoes character through a lot of X-Men, but I think like outside of kind of the Dark Phoenix stuff for her, like she's usually kind of a boring character. Like she doesn't have much to do, which I think is kind of why they did the Dark Phoenix stuff, to give her kind of something more interesting. But interesting way to kind of make her kind of like, yeah, just like a troubled youth who's making mistakes and hurting people, even if it's ultimately she's not a villain at the end, but like she walks into traffic as like that old guy and who just gets hit with a car. We never see what happens to him. Like,
yeah, I know. I was, or like when she when we have the first interaction with them, when she sends the tank in, and the end of that confrontation is her being the SWAT guy, and he like walks up to the edge and is like, catch me, save me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's so, I think that is a scary aspect. Like I think telepathy and mind control has always been sort of a very like icky power to have, because it's just so invasive. Like you watched some of the Netflix Marvel shows.
I watched, like, I think I watched all of them. Besides, I don't think I saw Jessica Jones season 2, but I think that's it.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
But like in the first season of Jessica Jones, the Purple Man, who is like just an incredibly grotesque character, who he's literally doing the same stuff of like putting ideas in people's heads and making them act out, and it's just so invasive of a power.
Well, and they show that in the scene with her and her sister, even just at the park. I was like, this, like they're just kids kind of messing around, but I was like, this is kind of fucked up, like this is like, yeah, I don't know, just to be at the park and to have your mind taken over for a second, like, especially
when we learn that like you not only are you taken over, but you're essentially cut off and you have like no memory of what your body is doing. Like that just feels so gross.
Yeah.
And of course they're playing at it because they're kids and stuff, and they don't really understand the full, extent that can be sort of invasive and gross. I think it's interesting how they portray her, because it's sort of like she, not too dissimilar to Spider-Man, of being like technically orphaned. The people who are supposed to take care of you don't, but like Spider-Man looks at when he has Aunt May in a formative part of his life to help him, like to anchor him to being a good person. Whereas like this rendition of Jean has a similar situation, but then has their equivalent of their Aunt May, their support figure, taken from them. And so, like she learns the lesson of, great power, great responsibility. Essentially, she learns that she has a great power, but she has no responsibility. Yeah. And is acting out and is in pain. And yeah, not that it justifies what she does, but it just... it makes her a more interesting character, I think. And it makes me more invested in where she goes. Hopefully, more X-Men stuff. But yeah, and especially the stuff she does when she possesses MJ and like pretends to remember Peter, that was like gut wrenching, because like we haven't talked about it so much in this video yet, but like Peter is going through it in this movie. This is a sad boy Peter Parker flick,
which we know is classic Spider-Man, and he's not Spider-Man if he's not having just the worst time ever. But like, yeah, he's having a rough go, and to like give him kind of a moment of like levity for something that's been obviously weighing on him for like 4 years, like, and then just to like yank it from him, and yeah, then again also like throw her off the building. Yeah, pretty messed up.
It is, man. Yeah, that part hurt. And even though you kind of expect it, it hurts really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I loved, and it wasn't too sad sacky either of his sad Spider-Man. It wasn't like it's obviously we know the solution to it is to like reconnect with his friends, but obviously there's that part of him that's like, I don't want to endanger them. I don't want to hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
We escape this, horrible, potentially horrific event, and they're safe and they can live a happy life. And it just really is sad to like watch him want to be part of that, and no, he can't.
Mm-hmm.
When I talk about like why I love Spider-Man so much, I love him because he's so relatable, and that you can see yourself in him at most stages of your life,
Mm-hmm.
Or connect him to a past stage of your life. And it's funny because the reasons I give people, he pretty much says in the opening of sometimes Spider-Man has to do the things that breaks Peter Parker's heart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you just relate to that because there are moments where you want to be elsewhere, but you have to do this thing, I was thinking a lot about like during pandemic time when I was not in a position where I could hang out with people as much as others could. And so it just sucked to know, like,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be there, but I can't because of these other factors. It's just one of those things where you just can relate to so well to that.
Yeah, well, I think they did a good job of how they portrayed it, because he's trying to like still kind of put on a brave face throughout this. He's not overly mopey, which I think sometimes comic iterations like Spider-Man's a little too mopey sometimes.
Yeah.
Effective way to handle it here with him just being, he's more confused, and I think kind of refuses to acknowledge why he's going through what he's going through with the body changes and stuff and all that. But I related to that a lot too. I mean, times in my life when I'm struggling with stuff, I don't want to burden other people with it, So I don't know. I enjoyed that was kind of the route they took. And his kind of integration of it in the end when he's fighting the Hand in the damage control facility, like really effective arc for him there too, I think. It's like, who are you? Are you Peter Parker or are you Spider-Man? And then he's like, I'm both, and kind of like accepts both, because he's in this one, he's very much like, I'm Spider-Man, Peter Parker's taking a backseat,
Yeah.
And he's learning how to better balance those, and realize he needs to have these relationships. And in the scene with MJ, when she finds his letter and finds out what happened, she has a good line. She's like, "This, I don't know if this was your decision to make," And granted, she doesn't understand the broader context of why he had to do that, and so like I think he was justified in that decision in No Way Home, but like she has a valid point there, like him wanting to protect people it's a two-way street, so, but good stuff. I think him and MJ had really good chemistry in this too, and I like the route they took with her not just being like, oh, of course I remember you, like it's gut-wrenching when she's like, I don't remember, I don't know you, I don't love you.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think you can see how much of a punch that is to him, but also I think it's kind of what he needs to hear to like kind of snap out of it a little bit too.
Exactly, of being like, you can't really mourn this absence because the other participant doesn't have that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's essentially, I think he realizes in that moment that like the only person keeping him in misery is his own self, and not that like obviously the answer is to move on, but that doesn't mean it's an easy choice. But I think it helps give him the clarity of maybe he needed to hear what somebody else had to say because he's been making so many decisions on the behalf of others.
Mm-hmm.
That he needed someone to be like, this is my decision. You can decide how that impacts you.
Mm-hmm.
You choose how that impacts you. But I made this choice for myself. I think, some of the most joyous moments for me were moments with MJ, moments with Ned, which have always been great. Like, they've always had a really good dynamic throughout. Ned and Spider-Man especially.
Mm-hmm.
I've always had like a really excellent dynamic and friendship. And MJ, as she became more of like a key player, I I think so as well.
Yeah, I hope they continue that, and I don't know if they've officially announced more movies. They say he'll return, and so I'm sure this isn't the last Tom Holland Spider-Man, but I'm curious where they go from there, because they hint at, like, you know, maybe some sort of romantic rekindling. She's holding the Black Dahlia flower at the end, you know, and obviously there is some chance of memory recovery, because the very end scene is when he does his secret handshake with Ned, and Ned's like, Peter, you know, how much he remembers is unclear, but
just knowing that there's something, like, there's some, you know, obviously he has like a muscle memory essentially of like what the brain has forgotten, the body hasn't, and so he kind of, that was a really great moment too. Good moment to end on. That was like really triumphant for being so small scale, of like, you know, friends rekindling, friends reuniting. They're like, even like their exchange, like when they're hanging out and building the little X-Wing and quoting Lord of the Rings to each other, and then, you know, MJ of course draws it, but she draws him without the mask on. Like, I just love that so much. I think that is so key to why we like characters like Spider-Man, and why we root for your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That was another great thing. I think that's why I liked Homecoming so much, and why I like this movie so much, is the street level. Spider-Man is just prime. It's not that I dislike him when he's on these huge, large scale adventures with the Avengers and stuff, but it's harder to get invested, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, those are obviously a kind of departure from the traditional Spider-Man structure, or, you know, setting. And so it's fun to kind of have them both come together here. Yeah, because I mean, in the previous three, up until like No Way Home, like Peter doesn't suffer much loss. He doesn't suffer much like tragedy, which is a pretty core tenet of the character, I think. You know, and obviously losing Aunt May really serves as a good analog to Uncle Ben, and just gives that emotional weight to his character that you feel at the end of No Way Home, but you really feel it in this one, like the whole time. Like you can tell he's kind of like becoming Spider-Man, not Spider-Boy or kid. You know, like they've done a good job of continuing his overall arc throughout this movie, and still having him continue to grow.
Yeah,
I like. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, well, May's absence is so much stronger here than even her presence in previous movies. Like, it's so much more meaningful that, like, obviously she appears in that sort of flashback or that memory scene, but like the fact that her headstone is such like an important part of like his day to day. I really liked all those scenes too.
Another thing I really enjoyed, which we see in the trailer, is all the like homages to comic covers, and just like great, cool, classic Spider-Man moments. Even some like lesser known ones, like you have the cover of like Ramrod like headbutting a building, and you have Boomerang,
the guy holding him over the
Tombstone holding him. Yeah. Which I feel like they kind of teased Tombstone to play a bigger role, and he's in it for like 5 seconds. But
I think it's funny that so many people are like, "There's so many characters in this movie. What are we gonna do?" And it's like, it's a montage. It's okay.
Yeah. All that stuff happens in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, which I loved. I thought that was great.
Yeah. I love seeing bad guys get like webbed up to the side of a building when the cops come find them. You know, that's just good stuff. Classic.
I love that. Yeah. Seeing the movie, maybe we want to boot up the PlayStation 4 game again.
I feel like I haven't played that game, but I feel like the way he fights in this,
it
feels very like video game combo-y when he's taking out like groups, especially like the damage control guys, or, you know, whatever. Like some of those moves, and like that feels very like combo-y, you know.
Like the move that he does when he does like the like cyclone, the like web cyclone. Like you can do that move in the game.
That's cool.
You know, and the bombs, the web bombs is a thing. Like I was playing it last night, and I was just like, there's something really satisfying. They capture so well in the game of swinging through the city and stuff, but also like it's finite, but you have ammo for your web shooter. And if you hit a guy enough times and he's close to a wall or the ground, he'll and be out of the fight. Like this movie just feels so perfectly like captures Spider-Man as a combatant. That makes it like.
I think it's the best Spider-Man action choreography we've gotten, and even like I would dare say like ever. Like I think that compared to the other movies, like we see so much cool creative ways of him utilizing stuff in this one that we just haven't seen before, and it's awesome, and it's directed and like shot very well too. It's really cool. I enjoyed it quite a lot.
It's made by the guy who made Shang-Chi, and it just makes me want to say, like, what the hell happened with Shang-Chi?
Yeah, I feel like Shang-Chi was like fine, you know.
It's fine, but it's like that. It does not. And maybe it was just the, whatever the headline, not headline, like whatever the itinerary was at the time for what they expect out of like a Marvel project visually, and maybe they gave him a little bit more freedom with this.
I will say Shang-Chi did have good fight choreography. It was shot. The action was shot really well.
I just meant like just how it looked overall. And maybe because there are so many fantastical elements of that they had to depict in weird ways. But like I'm not trying to talk down to Shang-Chi. I'm just impressed that it looks so vastly different. And maybe it's just because it's a different character. I
think that they're probably being a little bit more deliberate to have visually distinct films now, because I think they wanted cohesion before, but I think it's kind of been attacked to death online about how MCU films started to feel very samey and very just kind of gray and washed out, you know. So and this one was not like, it still felt like an MCU movie in a lot of ways, but it feels like its own thing. Like I can't think of any other Marvel movies that kind of have a similar look.
No, and it's like there are moments where there is sort of maybe a cold tone to it, but it feels very intentional in terms of like we want to show that Spider-Man is feeling either isolated or lonely or whatever in this mode, you know. Like I feel like a lot of the like the scene when he emerges from the cocoon is very like gray, but in a way that feels very limbo. We don't know what's happening. He's almost sort of closed off, and now like the saturation of color will come after the fact and stuff.
I think they also leaned a lot more heavily into like shadows and kind of playing with pushing and pulling light in this one more than they have in other ones. Like particularly I'm thinking of the shot of like him leaning up against the washing machine. Like I remember having the thought of like, you can't see him very well in the shot. I was like, that's kind of the point, you know, or like his apartment is like super dingy and dark, like to the point. And I feel like we wouldn't have seen that in other movies the same way. So yeah, big credit to what's his name, Daniel Destin or Destin Daniel Cretton or something.
I think so. I think some
sorry for butchering the name, but good stuff.
Yeah, you did a really good job, my friend. I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to see it this weekend, but I guess thank you, Christopher Nolan, for teaching Tom Holland how to make movies, even though I think Tom Holland's made some pretty good movies. Yeah. Well, I mean, I Devil All the Time I think is really good. I didn't watch Uncharted. I didn't see the point.
Yeah.
But it felt very much like Tom Holland has gone on saying we wanted to make a movie for a reason, not just because we could make another movie. And I think that this feels really earned for him as Spider-Man, for the people making the movie, for the MCU to kind of come out of a slump.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that maybe he's kind of coming into more of a he has more cred now that he can kind of have a lot more to do on the creative end, pushing it in a good direction. So yeah, props for that. I also kind of back to the Punisher. I loved him, and I think this is like the most lighthearted Punisher we've ever had. He's very PG-13ified, I think, but
yeah,
it works
because he's gruesome in his own show and in the other shows. I still need to watch Born Again, sadly, because I should be right on that, but I didn't have access to Disney Plus at the time when it was coming out. But I love Daredevil, and I love the Punisher show, specifically the first season of the Punisher show. This was a really fun take on him. Of, like you said, he's toned down for the screen, but it still feels like that character.
Yeah, I mean, they don't shy away from like he's like I'm gonna kill her, you know, at the end where he's set up a sniper, like I'm gonna shoot her. That's what he would do, you know.
Yeah.
So they don't like soften his decisions necessarily. It's just more the portrayal, I think.
It's funny because I didn't think about this, and I'm not moving the discussion away from Punisher yet, but I didn't think about it until we start talking. It very much feels like, yeah, it's kind of a random selection of characters that appear, but honestly, this feels like the most the widest cast net in terms of representation from like the peak parts of Marvel in one movie, even though maybe the representatives of them aren't who you would expect. Like obviously you have Spider-Man, but then like you have Punisher, who's in that sort of Defenders, Underground, whatever sort of region. You have Hulk, obviously Avengers, and then you have Jean Grey coming in for X-Men. Like I think it's really cool that there's all these representatives of the different teams or components of, you know, the Marvel universe.
It feels like they pulled all the major players from like 90s Marvel and put them all in one movie, you know.
This feels like the best episode of an animated show. You know, which is like when I compare, I mean, I always put the animated shows above everything for me, just because I feel like they're the most likely to feel like a comic book because of the art aspect of it, the animated aspect of it. They could do more with the designs. I felt that way about Superman, of like, this feels like a good episode of the animated TV show. But yeah, going back to Punisher, I think he was really great. I think his role in the film is very needed. I wasn't really sure when the trailers were coming out, like what he was going to add or what he was going to do other than being like a potential comedic foil, or like not a straight man to Spider-Man, but in a way.
Something for someone for him to bounce off, which he still is in this. But I get what you're saying. They work really well together, I think. Like, even though they have very different approaches to handling things, I think, I don't know, the scene where we get the Hulk and the Punisher is there too. Like, I like how the Hulk is, or how he's just like, he's going guns blazing on the Hulk and it's like doing nothing. So he's like, okay, you get the Hulk out. I'm going to go shoot the teenager.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I love the part, like when we first meet him and Spidey webs up his gun and then takes away, and then he's like, ha ha!
I had the same one. You don't think I would have two of these?
I selected the right part to double my weapons.
Yeah, that was great.
And the fact that he has like a mystery machine a punishing machine for the band.
Yeah, awesome. With a cutout so it doesn't break his glass. Yeah.
And speaking of the Hulk, I have to admit the Hulk is not a character that I'm super in love with. I don't hate him. I'm just very neutral on. I loved the Hulk in this movie.
I'm glad. I feel like they do a lot of kind of ping-ponging with him, especially over the last 10 or so years of just like, you know, I'm able to kind of transform at will because I'm always angry, versus like now I've been the Hulk for several years and now I can't turn into the Hulk, and now I've integrated the Hulk and I'm Professor Smart Hulk, and now I'm not the Hulk at all anymore. I use this thing and now I'm Smart Hulk again for 5 seconds. And now I like the idea of Jean Grey getting in there and like kind of breaking that connection so that we get just regular Hulk again.
It was good to see him back because I've missed him since obviously it's not the exact same, but you haven't really seen him like that.
You don't really see him since like Ragnarok. Yeah, it's like 10 years almost.
I'm gonna potentially catch flack for this, and I'm at least in my small unit of like my dad and my brother, I'm in the minority. I do not like Smart Hulk.
He's just kind of boring. Like, I don't know. It doesn't do much for me. I wouldn't say I'm like I actively dislike it, but I'm glad that we're back to this because the whole interesting aspect of the Hulk is Banner versus Hulk and him kind of trying to battle with that, and integrating it, I guess, is a good end for his arc. But if you want to keep putting him in stuff, like just having a big green smart guy is like, all right, you know, like
it just feels.
I want to see Hulk smash.
Yeah. Hulk smash. I like that part. Well, and the thing is, the reason I like it Hulk is interesting because he is potentially two people in that he's Bruce Banner and then he's the Hulk. I think Bruce Banner was really good in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think the Hulk was really good in this movie. And we didn't have to smash them together in
No.
some stupid way for it to work for me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the dynamic between, you know, Bruce Banner talking to Peter Parker and being like, wow, this kid's really smart. Like, he's giving him the time of day to discuss stuff. He's really interested. He knows that there's probably something else to it, but then also trying to ease in some of those lessons, you know, from his own mind of, like, when he's talking about, you know, the genetic sequencing and stuff and how to adapt to his evolution. And the Hulk just essentially being like, warning him about eugenics, essentially being like, well, how do you know what's good and what's bad when it comes to nature? And again, of course, he has to learn the lesson of there is no way to get rid of the bad and keep the good. You have to always keep it, you know, balanced.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked that section. And then, of course, when you see him Hulk out, I really, really liked that.
Well, and I like how he kind of gets to the Hulk. Like, Hulk's got him in his hold or whatever, and he's like, "It's me, Peter. I'm your friend." And you can see the Hulk kind of be like, "Oh shit," you know, and like decide to let go. So I thought they were gonna do the whole like, "Oh, Hulk remembers Peter Banner doesn't," you know,
and maybe that would have been too spoon feeding. But part of me also wishes, I think that would have been a good line of Hulk remembers. That's all you have to say.
And I think they kind of hint at it.
Yeah.
Because there's obviously some recognition there, you know, like, so maybe that was the right way to handle it, of like, they're kind of doing that, but it's not, spoon fed to us, I guess.
But I don't know if it would have been, like, I don't know. I personally don't know if I would have made the right choice with that. And is this the right choice? Probably. Of course, I would still like to have heard that, only because I think that would have been a good line.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have bookended really well with how he does the whole, like, there is no Banner, there is only the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked his inclusion in the movie. And again, I was like, why is he here? And it's to have fun and have him become an obstacle to be used.
This is the first time we get a Spider-Man Hulk fight, you know, and it rules. It was cool.
And
he was the Hulk. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and having the Bruce Banner, Peter Parker, you know, science bro stuff.
And I like how you can see that moment where Spider-Man is like, oh, it's a gene, a mutation. What I can't remember what he calls it, but and you see Bruce be like, oh, you know, like, interesting. I had a discussion about this not a day ago, you know. But the way Hulk looks in this is, I think, the best he's looked probably since like the first Avengers movie.
Yeah, agreed. Because he looks awesome in the first Avengers. Like, that's what made that movie work. Is I think the final. I don't know if there's like a good version of like the final nail in the coffin. I don't know like what that alternative would be of, you know, the last stable foundation of the first Avengers is getting the Hulk right. And they did that in this movie too. I thought every character that was either incorporated or brought in from something else or introduced for the first time or whatever was all really well done. Like, he isn't in the movie for very long, but I like that they kind of gave Scorpion that moment, like especially giving that actor that moment to be Scorpion after having it be alluded to in the first movie in like a post-credit scene.
Yeah, I agree. I think pretty much every non-Spider-Man character in this movie is deployed like pretty much exactly the right amount. Like, I never felt like someone was in it for too long. I like the Spider-Man fight where Peter kind of unleashes and gets too aggressive. Or did I say Scorpion? But that scene was great, and you can see the struggle with it because, like, I'm glad they didn't go. I feel like people were also hinting like, oh, it's going to be the symbiote or something, you know, or he's going to turn into Man Spider. And I was like, I don't think we'll see that. But I do like the, like, I don't know how to deal with this, and it's leaking out in an ugly way, you know, and it's hurting people. It's cool to see Spider-Man be like kind of scary, I guess, for a second. But also you see him be like he almost kills that police officer, and it's like, oh, shoot, you know, like.
I really like how they handled that, and we can talk a little bit more about it in a second. I loved DeWolf's character
Yeah.
I love the bear, and that actress plays like one of my favorite characters in the bear. But I like that moment when she, like, the easy thing to do would have been like, oh, all the police officers turn their guns on Spider-Man, and now there's a manhunt for Spider-Man because he is a danger to everyone. You know, JJJ is totally right and about everything. Spider-Man is the worst. And she does say, like, if you act out again, I can't help you. But she does say, she acknowledges, this is not you. I know that it's not you. I know that something else is happening. And she has that sort of compassion for him to be like, you figure this out, and when you're ready, you come back, because we're not abandoning you. It would be too difficult for her to explain to everyone else what's happening. And I think that Spider-Man works well having a sort of Commissioner Gordon type character.
Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed them. Yeah. Kind of having that more personal, like, relationship where they'll talk on the phone, you know, he'll learn her kids' names and stuff. Like,
yeah,
that was great. Cause like, that's also like Spider-Man would do that, you know?
Yeah. Tell so-and-so I said hi. And then she's like, Spider-Man says hi. And they're all like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it brings a smile to your face. It's full of joy. In the Spider-Man game, there's a cop character named Yuri Watanabe that kind of has the same dynamic with Spider-Man, and is really fun, and I love it. There's like a section where they're communicating, and he's like, you know who this is a job for? Spider Cop. And she just goes, please no, please no. And then he'll like monologue, and like, it's a really fun dynamic to have, and it works well because, you know, with Batman and Commissioner Gordon, there isn't a lot of, the humor is one-sided on Commissioner Gordon's side, if at all. Whereas this dynamic has a lot more humor from both participants.
Yeah. No, it was her character was a good inclusion, I think. And again, just a good continuation of like Spider-Man is working with people to handle things. He's not antagonistic with the police as sometimes he's portrayed to be, or how other superheroes like Batman are portrayed to be sometimes, you know. Lots of fun. I think I kind of covered everything. I guess the last thing I want to just shout out is I really like the soundtrack. There's a lot of needle drops in this movie that were really
in a way that didn't feel like too takes you out of the experience. Like, I feel like everything just kind of fit into the movie, and like, I'm having a hard time remembering some of the music, not because it was unmemorable, but just because I was so invested in what was happening, and it tuned into what was happening, that you're focused on the story and the emotion and the characters.
Yeah. But yeah, do you have anything else you want to chat
Do you
about?
have a either a favorite moment or like a favorite shot that or a fun Easter egg or anything like that you noticed that you'd like to?
I think my favorite moment was him fighting the hand at the end. That was just a lot of fun. I guess one kind of very small gripe I have is, have we seen the hand since Daredevil, like season 3 in anything?
Like I said, I haven't seen Born Again, so I don't know if they've appeared.
They at least have it in season 1. I haven't seen season 2 yet.
Okay. No, but it kind of makes sense because those characters have been such a limbo that like this is kind of the first time that we're being shown. Like this movie to me feels very much like this is a Marvel movie where we don't have to pretend that all the other Marvel stuff doesn't exist, even if we're only shown like small parts or like C-list, you know, members of those realms. It felt like one of the first ones that wasn't afraid to say it exists in this universe. You know what I mean? And not in a name droppy way, but just like to see the hand was cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was cool to have him pop up. I just like a super nitpicky thing was be like, I'd like a little more explanation as to like why they're here. Why is this secret criminal ninja organization working for the government now? You know, like they explain it, but still, it's just like
they just needed a place. Like they're a remnant of, you know, like their kids. They grew up in the hand and then had nowhere to go. Presumably when the hand was destroyed or whatever.
Yeah. And I don't like, again, I'm not complaining because we got a sick Spider-Man versus the hand fight, and that was really cool.
And I like that even Spider-Man's like, that was awesome. Like they do a move and he's like,
That was cool.
That was cool. I hate that they're fighting me because that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I like how he goes out of his way to like keep people from getting hurt or dying on that too, because he's just like, you know, they're either under control or they're just doing their job. They think, you know, like,
Yeah.
that was a favorite moment for sure. A favorite small moment that you've mentioned already is like when they're building, him and Ned are building Legos and stuff like that. Such a like, hell yeah, dude.
All right, keep your secrets.
Yeah. Because yeah, I don't know if we've ever talked about it on the channel. Van and I are both pretty big Lego fans. Van more so than me, but pretty big Lego fans. Yeah. Mine are back there in a cabinet.
It is a cool cabinet, can attest. Yeah, that I think that is a moment that keeps replaying. There's a shot that I keep thinking about, and I think it happens when I'm trying to remember at what point it happens now. I feel like it happens early on in one of the damage control areas, or I think it's whenever they move Scorpion from that facility. But there's a shot where Spider-Man's fighting someone, and the camera's like this, and then it kind of flips on its side, and he's like fighting on the ceiling, and then
I think that is at the end when he's trying to get to Jean.
Okay, I couldn't remember where, because I just really like they played
that was really cool.
Him like the literal wall crawler, and in a way that like when we usually see it, it's like almost a moment beat of like you know, of course, like you have the Tobey Maguire where he kind of falls off the roof and then is like standing there. Like it's meant to be more of like a moment. We'll just see it just incorporated more into like him fighting, and then also like him traversing. Like I love that shot of him sitting upside down in the beginning when he's like hanging from the bottom, but we see it the other way around.
See the skyline like upside down. Yeah, that was really cool.
It feels like some of these guys finally watched like Spider-Verse and were like, oh yeah, we can do fun stuff with our characters who can do these things, you know, more than just going and sitting on top of a roof or the air. There was a couple Easter eggs that I noticed during the movie that I'm surprised, like when I watched some other thing, that they didn't bring it up. But you can tell, I'm sure there's more, but you can tell that they've been sprinkling little X-Men stuff in, because when he hits the bus, that girl, I don't think she is specifically Rogue, but she is dressed and has hairstyle just like Rogue. She has a white stripe in her hair, and she's wearing a green jacket.
I didn't notice that.
There's a small part where it's in one of the night scenes when he's either swinging, or it might be like after he kind of has that heartbreak moment and he has like the sad boy montage of like swinging through the air. There's one point where Spider-Man is thrown or hits a neon sign and it says Bub's Grill. So nice. That I thought was kind of a fun. I'm trying to think of any other. I just found myself thinking about the movie a lot. Like right after we saw it, I wanted to watch it again. Not necessarily because I was like, oh, I gotta watch. Like that was crazy. It was the best thing I've ever seen. It was more just like I really liked how I felt watching that, and I kind of want to go back to feeling that way.
Yeah, that's kind of, I feel the same way. I just like it's been percolating. I'm just like that was a good movie. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see more come from it. Like I want to like not from where do we go from here? Yes, that, but also I kind of want to watch some behind the scenes. I want to watch maybe some commentary, see what people were thinking. Alternative takes on stuff, or if there's any deleted scenes. I just think all around it was incredibly successful. I think it does similar things that Superman does, of being really fun and full of joy. And as much as I love Superman, and I love it for different reasons, I think this is a tighter movie.
Yeah, I guess plot wise, probably, yeah.
And like I would still say this, I will not. Superman is still like a 10 out of 10 for me, and I think this is the same for me. Like there's not even, I don't know. Sometimes I have like pacing issues, or I have line delivery. Line delivery issues always get me.
Yeah,
clunky dialogue I really dislike. Unless it's like endearing, like the prequels, we can be endeared to that because it's like baked into the sauce, and it's been that way for 20 years. We kind of just get used to it.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't have any hangups with that kind of stuff. I think everyone did a really, really, really good job.
Yeah, there were never any moments that kind of yanks me out of it. Yeah, awesome movie. I think I would also probably I'd give it like a 9.5 out of 10. Like, I don't see how really you could make a better Spider-Man movie than this. Like, I think maybe tightening it up just a little bit more in terms of, like, there were some moments that did start to feel a little bit like, I don't want to say draggy, because it didn't. I get it. It didn't, but it started to be like, okay, I'm ready to kind of pick back up.
Like, just maybe a beat or two too long, where it's
yeah,
sort of
like just a little.
It's like if you cut off a little bit off of maybe 5 parts, you know,
it would have felt just that much more like flowy. I guess, I don't know. I could never make a movie better than this. You know, like
I feel like it's perfect is a strong word, but I mean perfect in terms of, like, I think every aspect, to the best of their ability, was executed with a thoughtful intention and like an eagerness to try.
Yeah, nothing felt phoned in at all. Like, you could tell they kind of poured themselves into this, and
it looked
really
like they
showed
had
up.
fun.
Yeah,
they had fun making it. You know, even in some of the somber moments, like, you know, why do we fall down so we can get back up again? Mm-hmm. Batman Begin.
Mm-hmm. Batman Begin.
Have you ever seen that tweet? It's just
no.
Michael Caine, that is the quote. He's he's like said that quote, and he wrote Batman Begin.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I have to look it up. Really
Michael Caine. Yeah. I'm definitely one, like, I'm pretty, I don't want to say fast and loose with my 5 stars on Letterboxd, but I have ample 5 stars on Letterboxd, because, like, so many people are just like, have some arbitrary perfect movie that's never been made in their head that they're holding out for, I feel like. And it's like, I haven't given this one a Letterboxd review yet, but I'm just like, this is a 5. Like,
yeah,
this is, for what it is, for a Spider-Man movie, like, this is as good as they get. You know, this is, I think, up there with like Spider-Man 2 quality.
I agree. I think this hits those same sort of high levels as Spider-Man 2. And I think Tom Holland is an excellent Spider-Man in general. I think he succeeds in aspects that maybe the others have not been able to succeed by the limitations of when they were made, how they were made, what they could incorporate, et cetera, et cetera. You know, it's sort of like, it's hard to be angry at how they portray those characters when it's sort of like the menu was so limited of what you could order. But I've always felt like Tobey is like quintessential Peter Parker. I think Andrew Garfield does a really great Spider-Man. And then I think Tom Holland is a really good version of both.
Yeah.
He wraps it up together really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that, and they've kind of talked about it in promo material for this, but I think it makes sense for the character because he's met both of them, but like this takes what works really well about both the Tobey and the Andrew Spider-Man and incorporates it into the Tom Holland Spider-Man. Like, it's a very complete vision of him.
Exactly. And I like how he says, like, oh, I've incorporated some of the things from their suits and I've learned these things. And like when he finds out that he does the organic webbing, he's like really grossed out by it. And
it's like Peter 2 had organic webbing and Peter 2 is cool.
You can do it. It's okay. Yeah. No, excellent. I had a really great time. I think obviously if you've made it to the end, you probably have seen it because we talked about being full of spoilers. If you have anything that you want to add or tell us your favorite part, let us know. Go ahead and drop some comments. Give us your thoughts. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it as much as we did, because if you didn't, I don't know what to tell you. Goodbye now. Goodbye.